Yo, we back. It's been a little bit, like I said. I went on vacation for like 2 weeks, and this is my recording week. So hello, welcome back to If My Heart Had Wings, spicy habanero route. Um, yeah, let's just get back into this. What were we doing last time? Right, we were looking for club members, but nobody came through. Still pretty sure we're gonna get Habane to join, but oh wait, I muted the game because I was doing something else, I think. Did I? Never mind, it's not muted. Let's go. Looks like we can't find anyone. Uh, it's been 2 days since I joined the soaring club. Meanwhile, Araha and I have been trying to recruit new members whenever we found some spare time. Although everyone was interested, nobody has joined yet. I don't think she's that scary though. Living legend. I did know she was a legendary level weirdo already. The basis for such rumors wasn't clear, but she didn't have any friends and hardly showed up for classes. She basically shut herself off in the garage. Even when she did come out occasionally, she was always alone and didn't contact anyone. If you looked at it like that, she certainly seemed quite antisocial. It's reasonable. Ah, that rumor. There's something I learned while we were looking for members. It was something said only in whispers, like some urban legend. Who's that? Is that true? Is that a new character? Oh, yep. He has his own sprite, too. Tobioka Kujira-sensei. His first name meant whale, but he didn't have such a large build as one might imagine. However, it said that his attitude was exceptionally big. I've seen him before. He was a teacher acting as a moral advisor, the nagging and annoying type. There were a lot of teachers like that at my own school, but here it was a bit of a rarity. In other words, the advisor of Agaha's club. You mean how she was one step away from the national championship? Agaha nodded. Sad times. Since I knew Mochizuki Amane's character to some extent, I could imagine her making such a simple mistake. Same. I mean, I would be too. Imagine losing. Not from the robot, from just a mistake. Yeah, I guess that must have been frustrating. I would have felt the same way if I had been in that situation. Same. Why? So you mean that Tobioka-sensei resents Amane-senpai for that? Agaha nodded with a serious expression. That's ridiculous. No, I can't really say that. I mean, it makes sense, kind of. That you shouldn't, get those feelings mixed in with work. My last school was good when it came to sports. There was a sports scholarship program, and it was important for the school to get results in tournaments. The advisors and directors of each club were evaluated accordingly. At times, even their jobs were at stake. The Robotics Club is the most popular club at the school. Its performance is directly linked with the promotion of the school. So if Tobiota-sensei really had a grudge against Amane-senpai, I couldn't exactly say it was strange. Are you okay with this? Well, Tobiota is your advisor, right? Will you be alright with him scowling at you? That's a spirit. I don't think that's the main problem. Adaha inclined her head. What's that more important thing? Ah, that's the vice president of the student council? Hello. Yeah, I remembered. Here to rub it in. The vice president gave me a bitter smile as she made her assumptions. She stated frankly. There must be other clubs that have ghost members, right? Why is it only us? When we dare to raise such childish protests, Vice President flashed an angry glare at us. Vice President ignored Adaha's complaint and continued her lecture. Adaha and I felt small, and we looked downwards, embarrassed by raising our childish complaints. She let out a little sigh. In other words, you're not making any unreasonable demands. However, Amane-senpai isn't trying to invite any members herself. I forgot about the wacky transitions in this. This should be fun. Vice President stressed that out and left us. Yeah, she doesn't seem very flexible though. She seemed familiar with students' names and profiles, so cheating by only borrowing someone's name probably won't work. But it's a strange story. Even though Amane-senpai quickly left the robotics club, she's been staying in the soaring club for years, right? To the point of becoming the super repeat student. Even so, she isn't trying to get any new members. The more I knew about the situation, the less I understood it. After school, Audra and I headed to the Soaring Club's garage. After all, we're already members. As soon as she saw us, Amane-senpai bowed her head in apology. Cut it out, senpai. Does that mean you're giving up on the club? Amane-senpai nodded apologetically. Senpai, why don't you look for new members yourself? Is that what she really thinks? Is that because you don't want to let anyone come near this place? If so, then we... But how about becoming members? Senpai looked really distressed and depressed. If he kept asking any more questions, we'd be pointlessly torturing her. By the way, senpai, what are you planning to do after building the glider? We could use our club's objectives as material for our recruitment drive. As far as the quick chat that we did goes, apparently there were competitions for gliders too. So what are you going to do? A faint smile crossed Amane-senpai's face, as if she was about to start telling a nostalgic story. A place you'd want to go? Asuka? She said that name before. It will fly to the sky that Asuka spoke of. Amane-senpai, immersed in memories, looked at the photo frame on the desk. The frame without a picture. She looked like she had gone into her own little world, and it didn't seem that we could ask her any more questions. To search for people who might join the club. Whatever answers senpai finds, avoiding revocation of the club's status was the top priority now. It was past 9 o'clock at night. In the kitchen, I was washing 5 people's worth of dishes. In the dormitory, there were 6 people, including myself, but Habane-san didn't show up for dinner or to help prepare beforehand. She was shut away in her room. Just in case, I put her dinner in the fridge. If she gets hungry, she can eat it whenever she wants. Maybe she's feeling down. Why does she want to drop out of school? Was it because of what Adraha said, that she was being antagonized by the girls in class? Or maybe because the lessons were boring? Or could she have a reason I didn't know about? There must be something. Perhaps even she herself didn't fully understand it. And I, of all people, can't really say anything here. I didn't think that anyone would understand the real reason why I came back to this town. To be honest, I still haven't sorted it out myself. As I got into this somewhat gloomy mood, a sound of quick footsteps echoed throughout the hallway. Kanako-san? What is it? Could it be that you were attacked by a pervert? I kept my back to her, but when I was asking that question, my eyes unintentionally wandered in her direction. Huh? Was she undressed by Habane-san? No, that couldn't be it. If she just wants to take a bath. Into the bathtub? There was a wheelchair in our bath's dressing room. Habane-san was using it excessively for baths. She always relied on it when she was taking a shower. I'd never seen her do that, of course. She couldn't enter the bathtub in the wheelchair, though. In order to get into the bathtub, she needed someone's assistance. From what I had heard, it seemed that Habane-san had an older sister. I don't think we knew that. When her sister comes here, only then do they get into the bathtub together. However, she hadn't come around here recently, at least not since I'd become the dorm mother. Hi, Habane. It's been a while. Kinda missed ya. What? I don't think that's better than you helping her. Unwillingly to accompany me, Kanako-san left me all by myself. Hey, wait. Left alone, I faced Habane-san for the time being. Alright, shall I help you get in? That face, though. She stared at me with a dreadful expression. Yeah, but... yeah, hold on. Habane-san entered the dressing room and closed the door. Given the situation, I couldn't exactly go barging in there. If you have any problems, tell me right away. She replied in a scary voice. It couldn't be helped, so I was waiting outside. I sat down in the front of the dressing room door like a guard. It was pretty trivial, but being the only guy in the girls' dormitory made taking baths inconvenient. Made sense. I was the only one who had a set time. That's why I wouldn't have any excuse if I carelessly ran into any of them in here. I could hear a faint sound of the shower from the bathroom. She was probably washing herself off before getting into the bath. I could hear the sound of water lightly splashing. I got kind of excited. The limited information I got from the sound actually stirred up my imagination. I got strongly conscious of the fact that Habane-san was taking a bath. Wait, what am I thinking? If she knew what I was imagining, she'd probably try to tear me apart, limb from limb. As I tried to clear those thoughts from my head, did she just fall into the bathtub? I got up reflexively, opened the dressing room door, and dashed inside. And that's why you should get help. Or they should have made a bathtub with, like... Actually, I don't know how that would work if you can't use your legs. Are you okay? I jumped into the bathtub and caught Habane-san, who was struggling and wriggling, stirring the hot water within her hands. I lifted her in my arms. Hey, in there, Habane-san. Habane-san was still panicking and desperately clung to me while I was helping her sit up. It's okay, you're safe now. Habane-san looked at me. It looked like she didn't know who or what she was clinging to. Yeah, drowning's spooky. It's alright, everything's fine now. Habane-san nodded weakly while still clinging to me tightly. I stayed like this for a short while to calm her down. Ah. Suddenly we both realized what we failed to notice earlier. Oh, I got a sensor. Right, I actually kind of forgot this was a game with H scenes. Havane-san was stark naked and I was embracing her. Little awkward. I'm sorry, but I did save your life. Full shot. Hey. We didn't know what to do for. Well, I can't use that for a thumbnail, but we didn't know what to do for a moment. But since she couldn't exactly kick me out, we kept holding on to each other for now. Well, trying to hide her chest, Habane-san stuck even closer to me. Don't worry, I'm not looking. Habane-san went bright red and looked like she was about to cry. Oh, don't now, sorry. I tried to put Habane-san down on the floor. I thought that if I went and called Kanato-san, everything would be settled. Squeeze. She clung to me weakly yet desperately. But... This is cute, I guess. Habane-san's hands were trembling faintly. I remember that time when we first met on the windmill hill. Alright. When I nodded, her shaking seemed to have settled a little. We stayed with us for a while, then Kanato-san suddenly peeked into the bathroom. Awkward. Well, this and that. This was the result of ignoring Kanato-san's advice. But I just couldn't say something like that in front of a teary-eyed, trembling Habane-san. I'd feel really bad for her. Yeah, definitely not the time. It seems that Kanato-san also sympathized with her. Could you get a bath towel? And could you cover Habane-san up? While Kanato-san was putting the towel around her, Habane-san was quietly clinging to me. Afterwards, she obediently got into the bath with Kanato-san. Kanato-san also refrained from unnecessary jabs and was more worried about calming Habane-san down. Good people. While I was doing the dorm mother's jobs in the kitchen, Kotori had gotten out of the bath and came to see me. She was pretty embarrassed. Oh wow, don't mention it. I stopped myself from saying something like, that's another one of the dorm mother's jobs. Being a dorm mother wasn't a reason why I did that just now. Well, I mean, I'm not really shocked. I imagine it's hard for someone who can't use their lights. I didn't know how to answer. Habane-san left me and went back to her room. Wonder if you changed your mind from that. Chapter break. It's only 23 minutes. Since we are coming back from a big break, I'll probably make this a little longer than normal. Like maybe an hour. Or finish up this chapter. The Sanda. Digging it. Leave it to me! What are we playing? At Adra's signal, I ran ahead to block the cat's escape route. Calico Cat. Adra and I blocked the stray cat's path and it searched for a third route. And there... there was Habane-san with an almost sickeningly broad smile. It's actually kind of scary how open her mouth is. Now that sure was a wheedling voice. The sardine that she dangled in front of the cat got its attention. However, as expected of a stray cat, it won't let its guard down so easily. Habane-san nodded and took out a small fishing rod. with the dried sardine hurrying out at the end of the line. Dango dango. The sardine drew the stray cat's attention as if it was a blessing descending from heaven. Habane-san was skillfully handling the rod. She was almost literally reeling the cat towards her with the dried fish. That's the weirdest meow I've ever heard, I think, dubbed for a cat. Sounds almost like a dog to me. Whenever the cat reached out its paw, Habane-san was pulling the rod away with the right timing so that it couldn't reach the sardine. Actually, it was slightly mean. Eventually, the cat ran out of patience and used its last resort. Okay, that was a good meow. Kinda. Jump. The cat jumped onto Habane-san's lap all by itself. Splendid. The cat settled into her arms. I can't believe it fell for such a stupid plan. I felt like saying, "Come on, stray cat, you can do better than that." Well, that's something off Habane's bucket list, I think. Habane-san stroked the cat sitting on her lap with an affectionate smile that we'd never seen before. Though it seemed the cat didn't really like being stroked, he was too focused on the large amount of sardines to run away. Ada started stroking it too. All the girls like cats. Can I stroke him too? Even though I like cats too. That was a bit unfair. Next is... I opened the notebook to check. Things I want to do. Yeah, this is Habane's, right? It was a list of items written in Habane-san's notebook. Cat has been stroked. We were in the middle of the clearing in Habane-san's to-do list. As Hataha and I examined the notebook, Habane-san looked at us sideways with a little suspicion. How did it get to this point? To answer that, we need to go back to this morning. Oh, no left pixel flashback? That was my favorite. This morning, I was worried if I should return the withdrawal notice that I had picked up earlier to its owner. Returning lost property should have been a natural thing to do, but if I did that, she would probably leave school right away, so I kept it. If that's what she wanted, I had no reason to stop her, but somehow I was hesitant. I was pacing back and forth along the hallways until... Habane-san, wearing her school uniform, poked her head out from her room. She was sneakily checking the situation outside. Our eyes met and she slammed the door shut. Why is she acting so suspiciously? It wasn't anything out of the ordinary for Habane-san to be suspicious, but there was definitely something behind her behavior just now. I concealed myself in the dining hall for a while. I waited about 10 minutes. Hat came out of the little entrance at the bottom of Habane-san's bedroom door. He took a look around the entranceway, then came into the dining hall.
What?
Shh. Hat went back to Habane-san's room. What does she mean by alright? Habane-san sneaked out of her room. She took a peek into the dining hall just to be sure, but I was hidden behind the counter. By that guy, she probably meant me. The only guy. Habane-san was wearing her uniform, but she didn't have her bag. In the entranceway, she opened up her notebook and looked inside. I sneaked up behind her. Are you gonna skip school again today? Get ninja'd like twice. Habane-san sprung up screaming and threw the notebook out. That's why you should stop sending a duck to scout for you. My boy hat. I picked up the notebook that she dropped. I looked at the open page. Things I want to do. This was a page I saw before. Could it be that you were planning to do all of this before you quit school? Seems like I was spot on. I obediently handed back the notebook. And then when Habane-san started leaving, I followed her. I'm going to help. You must be tough by yourself, right? Habane-san looked at me as if I just made a fool out of myself. When we stopped in the front of the doorbell rang. Who could it be this time? Agaha. What did you come here for? Agaha pulled me closer and whispered to my ear. So she came here to invite Habane-san to go out to stroll with her. Your intuition was spot on. Yeah, the truth is, how should I explain this? Habane-san, I'm borrowing your notebook. I went back to Habane-san and took her notebook. Using it, I explained the situation to Agaha. I told her that she wanted to finish the whole things I want to do list written in her notebook today. I made sure not to mention the dropping out of school issue. Agaha groaned a little as she looked at the list. And that's how we got here. That is how Ara and I ended up going with Habane-san, against her will, to clear the things remaining on her to-do list one by one. As far as the urgent search for club members is concerned, I thought of a possible solution last night. That's why I was accompanying Habane-san like this. She said about stroking the cat, but we didn't listen. Aga pointed and read. Stroke the head of the big dog in the neighborhood. It's really scary, but it might be unexpectedly friendly. If possible, I'd like to ride around on its back. From the list, the Ito family is wealthy and they have a very large dog called Pedigree. They are letting him run free in their garden. When we were kids, such a big dog was an unusual sight. We were often watching him lumbering around their spacious lawn. So you like to ride on its back. I have lifted Habane-san up on 2 occasions. Both times she was like a feather. Well, perhaps that be an exaggeration, but she was really light. Obviously, an exaggeration. Pedigree was a Saint Bernard. They're pretty huge. I'm not a dog person, or any kind of animal person, so I wouldn't really know. While seriously considering Habane-san's silly idea, we headed towards Ito's house. Windmill Hill. Oh, they skipped it. I think. Said Agaha as she put the baggage down on the grass. Today was sunny and it wasn't too humid. The sunlight was quite intense though, so the wind that blew here felt nice. Here, I threw a sports drink to Agaha. One for you, Habane-san. I took orange juice from the convenience store bag and passed it to Habane-san. Do you want to sit down here? Agaha, give me a hand. Agaha, who was enjoying a sports drink, got up and came over. I want to put Habane-san down here. I lifted Habane-san up to Agaha and I told her how to do it and supported her from the side with my hand. Habane-san sat down on the grass and comfortably straightened her back. It seemed that the wheelchairs could get pretty stuffy in the summer. Oh, I can imagine that actually. That'd be rough. Especially if it's really hot. It was 12:30 now, just the right time for a lunch break. We spread out the lunch boxes that we brought from the dorm and juice and snacks that we brought from the convenience store. We didn't have a sheep, but it felt like we were having a picnic. I made both mine and Habane-san's lunch boxes while Araha had brought her own. Araha delightfully stuffed her cheeks with the burger that she traded for her spring roll for. Your mom's good at cooking though, isn't she? Habane-san, not used to this kind of atmosphere, was restlessly eating her lunch. However, she didn't look as uncomfortable as before. Araha either didn't notice that or was pretending not to. She was behaving the same as always. Araha said playfully. Skipping school for the first time must have excited her. If your mom finds out, she's totally going to kick your ass. Araha's mother didn't hold back when she was kicking her daughter's ass. I've been kicked too, a few times, when I got caught playing pranks together with Araha. Excuse me. I feel like I burp like every episode of anything I record. I don't know, I guess it's because I talk continuously for so long. I tried to mute it, but that one was, snuck up on me. My bad. Those kicks were heavy and quite painful. Of course, if I did, I'd also get kicked. Or rather, I just didn't really want her to worry unnecessarily. We all looked at the notebook. Throughout the morning, we already managed to clear 5 points. As for pedigree, Araha was Ito-san's acquaintance, so we could enter their garden when we just asked. She didn't manage to ride on Pedigree's back, but she did succeed in hugging him. In the end, he playfully leaned on her. This must have been quite tough for her. Pedigree probably weighs more than her. On top of that, he licked all over her face. Habane-san looked deeply moved. Damn, wish we saw that instead of this little skip. Araha read out loud of one entry from the list. Where is that? Habane-san suddenly turned bright red and drew a line through that entry with a red pen. Araha whispered something into her ear. Oh, it must be like a lover's spot. Araha whispered something to her, but Habane-san desperately tried to dodge the issue. What was that all about? So you want to go there? That kind of place. It wasn't just a normal cafe. Yeah. How? Habane-san pointed at me. She was strongly denying it, but it wasn't like I had any suspicions about it, really. We didn't even know about it. Ooh. boo. Habane-san had gone red and looked down. Well, I wouldn't really mind. That place is expensive, right? That's like $10 Canadian. $10 for tea, though. Hey, a little bit expensive. That was a little steep. No, what's Millie Flute? I don't know what that is. I'm gonna Google it. So that's what we do. We doodle. We've been doodling like a lot of foods from this visual novel. Millie Fuli. Mr. Sada apparently has some. The mill. I wish they had a Google voice thing to pronounce it. Vanilla slice or custard slice, similar to but slightly different from the Napoleon. Okay, so it's like a Napoleon. Unknown origin and it's French. It's pretty nice. Yeah, it does kind of look like a Napoleon. Okay. Cool. It better be more than just one piece. For one, Kate. Well, it is in the same place at the supermarket that sells high-grade marble meat for 2,980 yen for 100 grams. Yeah, rich people markets, dude. Unlucky. Lots of those when I went to Singapore. I was getting a somewhat larger allowance from my mom for helping out as the dorm mother, so next month will be fine. It must have been a serious matter for her, since she repeated it twice. Overwhelmed by her determination, I just nodded silently. As she once suddenly dropped the subject, she used the pen to thoroughly blot out that entry. It might have bled through the other side of the page. Just a bit. Huh? No, I don't. Yeah. It doesn't mean I get disappointed just by that. Wait, did I really look disappointed? Audra cleared away finished lunch boxes and opened a bag of snacks. We felt like we were on a trip, so we had brought various things. While eating some French snacks, Audra took another look at the notebook after Habane-san was done with the blotting. Which reminds me, we were in the middle of talking about what to do next. Audra was looking at the number 1 top entry on the list. It was written with much bigger letters than the other entries. I want to cross over the passage of clouds. Yeah, I thought that was quite strange too. What is that? I don't know, maybe flying? I wonder. You wonder? Habane-san answered while crunching the French snacks she got from Audra. Now that she mentioned it, the handwriting was different. Eat Dardenhaus to my heart's content, and so on were written with neat, uniform characters. Compared to the very methodical handwriting, I want to cross over the passage of the clouds was written in a bold, rampant way. Well, it's probably Amane, and if I had to secondly guess, it's probably our An-chan. I forgot his real name, since I do think he's somehow connected to Amane. There was a few entries written in this rampant fashion, and under those were the neatly written ones. It seemed that Habane-san added them, continuing from what someone else had written. You found it? What do you mean? Just casually, I guess it's not stealing if it's left there for a while. But you probably could have tried to look for the owner. When she said it's a diary, I hesitated to just go ahead and flip through its pages. Had Habane-san read it? Although both Ara and I looked at her questioningly, Habane-san remained quiet. She didn't want to waste the remaining pages? I don't think that was the reason. That aside, one more thing piqued my interest. I want to cross over the passage of clouds. What was the passage of clouds? When it comes to the clouds, I looked up. There was a blue sky, some small clouds, and a giant windmill. The windmill blades turning with the wind really resembled glider wings. Blood donation. It's kind of a weird one. My eyes are still flickering. The last scene from the to-do... Did I skip something? I might have clicked a little fast. No, I didn't. The last thing from the to-do list we did was complete Lady in Silver Done. Something like this. If you're wondering what it is, it's a shooting game. We were at the arcade playing the game until we finished it just now. We took turns playing it and repeatedly used continues. It was so hard to make. It was so hard that it made getting to the ending all the more impressive. I'm not good at shooters. Same. That was the best. The best at this game was Araha, followed by Habane-san. Apparently she played it by chance when she was skipping school before and having fun at the arcade. It seemed she was enraged by the incredible difficulty. Determined to complete the game someday, she added that entry to the notebook. We had spent no less than 30,000 yen before finishing it. Yikes. Mission complete. While we were at it, we also finished the entries that Habane-san hadn't written. The only one left was to cross over the passage of the clouds. Since we didn't know what that meant, the list was essentially all clear. I mean, it pretty much sounds like flying through the clouds to me, but maybe not. I'm glad we finished it before dinner. What's the matter? Habane-san's expression was dark. Just like Agaha, it seemed that she felt unsatisfied that everything ended unexpectedly quickly. Hopefully your mom won't find out about this. But Hotaru is quite serious. If she realizes that you hadn't gone to school, she might tell your mom, right? Oh, come on, are you trying to tell on me? After saying that jokingly, Ara turned to Habane-san. Ara said with a smile and turned to leave. With light steps, she walked up the gentle slope. Habane-san started to say something, so Ara stopped walking. Habane-san looked down, hesitating to speak. She looked like she could cry at any minute. Ara waited for a little while for Habane-san to open her mouth, patiently. However, Habane-san wasn't able to say anything more.
一緒にやろうよ、スワーリング部。葵から聞いたよ。グライダーのこと詳しいんでしょ。ガレージに行くのいつも楽しみにしてたんでしょ。一緒にやったら絶対楽しいって。きっと毎日が今日みたいだよ。だからね。
Ada closed her mouth and waited for a reply. I have no doubt that Habane-san was wavering. She was certainly interested in lighters, so I think she actually wanted to join the soaring club. So if only she could express those feelings now.
やらないって言ってるでしょ。どうして？どうしてもよ。あなたには関係ない。
Habane-san's blunt refusal made Ada's expression cloud up.
どうしてそういう言い方になるかな。
Uh-oh. You're having such a good time. Don't fight.
余計なこと聞いてくるからでしょ。そんなだからクラスでも浮いちゃうんだって思わない？
This time it was Habane-san who got irritated at Ada's remark.
浮いてて悪かったわね。誰かさんみたいに八方美人じゃないだけよ。八方美人ですって。
Uh-oh. Hold it. Calm down, both of you. This was so much fun, until now. Why are you all arguing all of a sudden? I couldn't just stand and watch, so I stepped in. After we had such a fun day, let's just cut it at— Whoa. Ada pushed me aside as though I was a hindrance. No good. It looks like she got pissed off about that ass tisser comment.
こないだのことはみんなが悪いと思うよ。あんな風に言われたらハバネさんが怒るのも当然だもん。けどハバネさんにだって悪いところがあったと思う。どこがよ。ほらその態度。
A little bit snobby. Ada pointed her finger at Habane-san's face as if she was presenting irrefutable evidence.
挑戦的っていうかなんていうか。そんなだからみんなに誤解されちゃうんだよ。今日一緒に遊んだみたいにさ、もっと普通に打ち解ければいいじゃんか。親切にどうも別に頼んでないけど。何その言い方。あなたってほんと親切よね。知ってるんだから。私にやたらと話しかけてきたの先生に頼まれたからなんだって。
Ada faltered for a moment and held her tongue after hearing Habane-san's words. Her cheeks suddenly got dyed red.
私はそれとも私のことがかわいそうだから親切にしてくれてたの？そういうのもううんざりなのよ。
Habane-san told her that and turned her wheelchair sideways.
さよなら。
Hey. With that, she left by herself. Ada, huh?
いいの。ハバネさんの言ったこと全部本当だから。
But that's not the reason why you did this, right? Aren't you also being misunderstood?
ごめん。もう帰るね。
Ada looked like she didn't want to talk about anything now. With trembling shoulders, she went up the gentle hill road. After I saw Ada off, I hurried back to the dormitory. Well, that went badly. Unlucky, I guess. Habane-san. Hey, Habane-san. Bang, bang, bang. My boy. Hat came out as if to protest about the noise. Hey, is your buddy in there? Could you step aside a little? I moved Hat out of the way and peeked into Habane-san's room through the duck door. Damn, bed is in the way, I can't see anything. Ah, Kanato-san, hasn't she come back yet? Uh-oh. Yeah, kind of. Say, can't I ask you to prepare dinner? I'm counting on you. That's not what it looks like, though. Habane-san wasn't surprised when I called out to her. She looked at me for a moment, but immediately turned back towards the lake. At night, the lake looked like a stretched out, vast, pitch-black darkness. On the other side was Windmill Hill. It was illuminated and looked really beautiful. Since she hadn't come back to the dormitory, I guessed that she might be somewhere around here. This is where I found her. What are you doing here? A self-assessment? I said it in a light-hearted way, but she didn't answer. Let's go back. It's almost time for dinner. Habane-san shook her head. You can't stay here all the time, can you? Why not? When she muttered it quietly, her cheeks faintly quivered for a moment. What do you mean? Tears were mixed in her voice. Habane-san. Yes, that's true. A quarrel isn't the way to end a fun day. For me, today was unbelievably fun as well. It was like going back to my childhood, doing nothing but playing around from sunrise to sunset. Knowing that Habane-san felt the same way made me a little happy. About Adaha. I didn't see what happened in class, so I can't really say anything, but she's a very simple person. I don't think she would have done what the teacher had asked if she didn't want to. Even if she hadn't been asked, she's the type who would just do it anyway. That sometimes causes problems though, right? I said jokingly, and Habane-san smiled a little. And today she wasn't asked to do that, but she still skipped school with us, didn't she? She had never done that before, and yet, when things turned out like this, she still stuck with us. She's not a bad person. I think that she probably really wants to be your friend. Even Adaha wouldn't go this far just for the sake of being kind. Hmm? Oh.
旅行先で事故に遭ったの。それまではあなたやあの子たちと同じように立って歩いたり走ったりしてたわ。友達もたくさんいて運動部にも入ってた。バレー部だったのよ。
Really? Imagine Habane-san kicking the floor and jumping, launching an attack on the opponent's court. Surely it must have been a magnificent and lovely sight.
それが事故で足を怪我して、私が行ってた学校にはエレベーターなんてなかったし、校舎の至るところに段差があって。
A step, even as little as 5 centimeters, is a huge obstacle for a wheelchair.
学校に通うことさえ困難になった。怪我する前のような生活。放課後みんなでハンバーガー食べに行ったり服を買いに行ったり、そんな当たり前のことが仲の良かった友達は気がつくとみんな離れていってたわ。
Bad
一緒に遊
feels.
べないんだから当然よね。
I don't think that's true. For friends, for real friends, something like that wouldn't matter. They could still hang out with her. Seeing that might have been just glossing over things though. At least this was her own
ある
experience.
時ホームルームで私がみんなから孤立してるのに気づいた先生が、ハバネさんはかわいそうな子なんです、もっと仲良くしてあげましょう。すごいショックだった。自分がどんな境遇にいるのか思い知らされて、その後一人でこっそり泣いたわ。悔しくて情けなくて、そんな風に気を使われるのが嫌でしょうがなかった。
Habane-san's hands, tightly grasping the hem of her skirt, were trembling. It looked like the frustration of that time had come back to haunt her.
だからここへ来たの。完全バリアフリーの学校なら誰にも迷惑をかけず一人でやっていけるって。
Habane-san could just go to her school all by herself and could get in and out of the classroom without anyone's help.
けどやっぱりダメだった。学校って場所は一人でやっていけるようにはできてないのよね。
It wasn't just a physical problem. It was a social environment, and you can't get by without people being involved with other people.
おまけにタイヤがパンクしたら遭難の危機だし、一人でお風呂にも入れないんですもの。なんかもう疲れちゃった。
She muttered and gazed at the windmill hill on the other bank. The calm silhouette of giant windmills seemed to help her settle down. That sounds tiresome.
でしょ？私結構頑張った方だと思わない？
I do. I agreed from the bottom of my heart. I couldn't simply say something like, keep doing your best.
ソアリング部の部員集めうまくいってるの？
Not really, but we should manage somehow. I have a feeling we'll make it in time.
そうよかった。あの変な先輩ずっと一人で頑張ってたんでしょ？途中で終わらせちゃかわいそうだもんね。私も一度でいいから飛んでみたかったの。あのグライダーで。
Habane-san narrowed her eyes while saying this. She gazed at the sky above the windmill hill. Hey, you. Don't you really want to quit? You don't really. Hey. My bad. Hey, you don't really want to quit school, do you?
そんなことないわ。お父さんやお母さんも心配してるし、私が学校辞めて家に帰れば喜んでくれる。
Habane-san smiled when she said that, but to me it looked like a forced smile. I sat next to Habane-san and, just like her, viewed the scenery on the opposite bank. Before I came back to Kazigara, I was in the bicycle club at the school far from here. She stole a glance at me when I started speaking and listened to me without a word. I may not look like it, but I was a sports scholarship student, you know? I trained frantically every day in order to win races and be exempt from paying tuition fees. The practice was really tough, but riding the bike felt good, so it didn't feel like such a hard work. Bicycle road races are incredibly tiring. In a big competition, you cycle 100 kilometers in one day.
100キロ。それはすごいわね。
Isn't it? To make matters worse, you also have to go over hills on the way. Hill climbing is absolute hell. While climbing, I always wanted to give up. But after you pass the top, cycling down the slope feels amazing. I couldn't tell if Habane-san was impressed or envious. It was fun, so I thought I'd try starting in races. In one competition, I came third.
すごいじゃない。それって全国大会だったの？
I nodded with pride. Actually, that... Oops. Nods. Actually, that was one of the few things I could be proud of. Anchan came to watch. I was really happy about that. And I got greedy. In the first race of the second year, I had an accident. Another bike had fallen down, and I got dragged along with it. It was in the middle of the downhill ride of all things. I was competing with several other participants. I was impatient in wanting to take the lead and got too close to another bike. Then the accident occurred. The other bike suddenly lost its balance and I got tangled up with it. I fell over and hit the asphalt at a speed of dozens of kilometers an hour. Smiling bitterly, I rolled up the right leg of my pants and shoulder. With that accident, my career as a racer ended all too soon. The scar from surgery was still fresh. Havare-san looked at it and was at a loss for words. She could probably call that kind of injury getting away with just a scar. With rehabilitation, I was able to walk again. The doctor said that now I don't have any problems with normal everyday life. But I can't ride a bike anymore.
それが の学校を辞めた理由？
I nodded quietly. I was a scholarship student, so it was pretty hard after I withdrew from the club, but I could have stayed there. However, my friends from the boys' singing club were there, and when I see them practicing, when I watch them doing their best from afar, I couldn't live normally. My recovered leg from the rehabilitation actually made me feel even more depressed. If only I was completely unable to move, I could have just given up. Such a thought had crossed my mind back then. It was difficult and painful. All those pent-up emotions were too much for me. That's why I came back. I ran away back to my hometown. After I finished my story, I felt refreshed for some reason. Now that I think about it, Habane-san was the first person I have told all this. I didn't even open up to Araha and the others like this.
逃げたくなることもあるわ。生きるのって楽しいことより辛いことの方が多いんだもの。
What Habane-san said to comfort me was very pessimistic. That must be how she really feels. However, I didn't tell her this because I wanted to be comforted. There were still things I wanted to say. There are some things that I realized from running away. There's nowhere else to go. I can't escape any further. It's a dead end. But right now I don't see any way forward either.
あるわよ。あなたなら他にも。
I thought I would regret it, running away, I mean. But it wasn't like that. My hometown is the same as always. It kindly welcomed me back.
だったじゃない。
That makes it even worse. The warmth of my hometown. It makes me forget my pain and impatience. It felt like I was gradually being paralyzed. The pain. The importance of the things I'd lost. I was forgetting them little by little. If I lost that, would I still be myself?
あなたにはあるわ。グライダーが。
Yeah. I'm excited to think I could fly in it. I looked up at the night sky and imagined myself flying through the air. Besides me, Habane-san hanged her head. Do you have something like that? Something that lies behind quitting school and returning to your hometown? Habane-san looked at me, visibly shocked. She was desperately trying to hold back the tears welling up in her eyes that were about to spill over.
そんなこと言わないでよ。そんな残酷なこと。
Whether she had something ahead of her or not, when she realized this, she was more distressed than I expected. I don't think you have anything like that, right? Therefore, without your to-do list, everything is over.
違う。あれはただ楽しかったから。
If you want a bath, I'll help you get in. If you get a flat tire, I'll fix it as many times as necessary. Whenever you'll need help, I'll do anything so. A tear ran down Habane-san's cheek. But it was only a single tear.
これ以上誰かの足手まといになるのはごめんなの。私の退学届返して。
We went to get the withdrawal notice that I stuck in the back of the drawer.
そんなところに隠してたんだ。
When I held that piece of paper in my hand, those terrible things that I had said to her skimmed through my mind. Do you have something like that? Something that lies beyond quitting school and returning to your hometown? Regretting those words, I gave her the withdrawal notice. You dropped this, so I picked it up.
ありがとう。
However, Habane-san didn't take it right away. For her, taking it meant deciding her whole future. But in the end, she reached out her hand. Swish. I quickly pulled my hand away, much to her bewilderment. Actually, nope. I'm not going to give it back. I held onto it and left the room.
おかえり。晩ご飯できてるよ。
I actually baited her.
もう大好評でさ。お鍋丸ごと余っちゃった。これどうしよう。
I stepped past Kanato-san and made some rummaging sounds around the kitchen.
何してんの？
Not long after, Habane-san came into the dining hall.
返して。私の退学届。退学届？
That's too bad, I already hidden it somewhere.
なん
I can't accept it. Just give it a chance.
はあ、意味わかんない。
Unreasonable feelings were bubbling up inside my chest. I knew how Habane-san felt. She must have had it tough. Just imagining it made my chest hurt. But it's only been 10 days since I came here. I felt like I wanted to do something for her, but the time I had been given was too short. I know, I'm just meddling. I totally get it.
何一人で言ってんの？返しなさいよ。それ私のでしょ。
No way, if you want it back, look for it yourself.
さっきまでのしりしりしたちょっといい話っぽい雰囲気は何だったのよ。
The hell if I know.
やっぱりこいついじめっ子だ。
You just hide in like a high place where she can't reach. Easy. I whistled awkwardly, playing dumb.
ちょっとかなこさん。はいよ。こいつがどこに隠したか見てたでしょ。さあ、どうだったかな。知ってても教えないけど。だって小鳥ちゃんいなくなっちゃうの寂しいんだもん。
Habane-san's face became bright red. Looks like her rage gauge has reached max.
バカ、アホ、人手だし。そんなのなくったって退学くらいできるんだからね。
The face! Throwing sharp parting remarks, Habane-san hurried out of the dining
ご
hall.
飯できてるから後でチンして食べなよ。
The door at the end of the hallway closed with a slam.
どこに隠したの？
Sticking out my tongue, I pulled the piece of paper out from under my shirt.
やるじゃん。
Thanks for your help. Chapter break? There we go. Well, that was an episode. We actually got like a pretty decent amount of character development from well, obviously Habane and Aoi, but even Adaha got some. That was fun. A good way to return to the series. I hope you enjoyed this kind of a lined episode, and I'll see you in tomorrow if you're following this as I'm posting, or see you in like whenever if you're not. I don't know what I was trying for. Bye!